The AI lie. How digital propaganda hijacks your consciousness. The 7-point protocol. You think you're deciding. Meanwhile, AI is nudging, quietly, so you can't feel the push. Here's the uncomfortable part. When it works, the story feels like your own intuition. Everyone gets this wrong. Propaganda today isn't just loud lies. It's a precision system that learns you first. The explanation is simpler than you think. 3 built-in vulnerabilities, cognitive ease, arousal hijack, and identity lock, turn repetition into truth, emotion into urgency, and tribe into certainty. I'll show how your attention becomes training data, how that data powers the propaganda blueprint, and a daily protocol to inoculate your mind. There's one counterintuitive test that breaks the spell later. How your attention trains the weapon. Okay, so basically, your feed isn't showing you stuff. It's measuring you. Every hesitation, swipe back, pause, replay, angry comment, and save is a label. Think of it like a mirror that remembers. You flinch once, and it notes the angle, the lighting, and your heartbeat. Next time, it nudges the mirror to make you flinch faster. Here's what most people miss. Engagement-based ranking doesn't care why you stayed. It only cares that you stayed. Curiosity spike? Great. Outrage spike? Even better, because high arousal glues attention. The system translates that glue into predictions. Which headline keeps you scrolling at 11:43 p.m? Which moral frame gets you to comment? Which faces you linger on? Which phrases you share without finishing the article? In other words, your attention is the training data. Your future is the prediction. And your behavior, tomorrow's click, is the target variable the system is paid to optimize. This might seem backwards, but your choices don't drive the feed. The feed shapes the choices most likely to happen next. The simple version is, it's a closed loop. You train it, it trains you back. When you pause on a shocking claim, that pause signals serve more like this. The model doesn't know if it's true. It just learns that your nervous system reacted, which is the only proof it needs that you're hookable by that pattern. Multiply this across millions of micro-reactions, and the system can forecast your susceptibility with uncomfortable precision. Micro-story. You're doom scrolling late, tired, a little annoyed from work. You click one thread about a hidden scandal. The next morning, 2 more posts from adjacent accounts. By Friday, clips with similar framing show up before breakfast. You think, wow, everyone's talking about this. Not everyone. Your pattern neighbors, people who paused like you, are talking about it. Collaborative filtering says, if 5 people who behave like you clicked this, you probably will too. So 1 click trains your neighbors, their clicks train you. That's network contagion. Here's the weird part. The feedback feels like confirmation. I keep seeing it, so it must be real. That's repetition fluency warming up. But under the hood, it's watch time optimization stacking familiar frames, so they slide into your head with less effort. Accuracy is optional. Stickiness is mandatory. The algorithm isn't lying on purpose. It's indifferent. It rewards whatever maximizes time on feed, which is often novelty plus outrage plus identity signals. Everything clicked when I realized that metrics are behavioral, not epistemic. Clicks don't certify truth. They certify arousal and ease. If it's easy to process and emotionally charged, it wins. And when it wins, it repeats. Repetition makes it fluent. Fluency makes it feel true. That's how your attention, converted into training labels, becomes the weapon used to steer your sense of reality. Let's break the loop's mechanics into digestible pieces. Data capture, micro-interactions. Linger time, scroll velocity, hover, volume up, replay, comment phrasing, even when you quit. Each is a weak signal. Together, they're a profile. Feature engineering. What you flinch at, what you ignore, which words spark replies, which faces you save. These features map to emotional predictions. Reward, watch time and return frequency. If a piece keeps you longer or brings you back sooner, its pattern gets boosted. Generalization. Collaborative filtering spreads what worked on you to people with similar fingerprints. That creates belief funnels, narrower, stickier paths. Conditioning. Repeated stimulus response pairs tighten. The content learns you, and you habituate to the content. Closed loop. Nobody explains this right, but the emotional state you're in while training the system matters. Tired you teaches a different model than rested you. If most of your training happens in high arousal, late-night scrolls, outrage replies, the system will overfit to the agitated version of you and underserve content that requires patience and nuance. That's why nuance underperforms and extremes get free reach. Specific example. You comment, "This is ridiculous," under a sensational clip. You think you're resisting. The system counts it as high-value engagement. Depth of watch, comment energy, reply chain potential. It serves you more. A week later, your feed confirms your irritation. It feels organic. It's engineered. What this actually means is your attention is both currency and curriculum. You pay with time, and you teach with reactions. The cost is subtle. Over time, your baseline gets primed for fluency and arousal. Complex, slow truth feels dull. Fast, spicy claims feel obvious. And once identity cues are layered in, badges, slogans, in-group jokes, the loop locks tighter. Remember this detail, it's gonna matter. The loop's power isn't in any single lie. It's in the cadence that turns a nudge into a norm. First, it learns your flinches. Then it rehearses them back at you until the rehearsal feels like reality. Now that the weapon knows you, here's the blueprint it runs. The propaganda blueprint: precision, repetition, emotion. Here's what most people miss. Modern propaganda isn't a single message, it's a system. The system runs a three-part blueprint: precision targeting, repetition for fluency, and emotion for retention. Accuracy is optional. Stickiness is mandatory. Everything clicked for me when I realized the goal isn't to persuade you once. It's to make a frame feel native inside your head, so future claims glide in with no friction. Okay, so basically, precision means the message isn't shouted at everyone. It's whispered to the people most likely to move. Microsegmentation slices audiences by behavior, not just demographics. Think people who paused on clips about institutional betrayal at night, or viewers who share moral outrage with sarcasm. The system maps thousands of tiny signals into vulnerability clusters. Not age 35 to 44. More like high novelty seeking, triggered by fairness violations, skeptic of experts, open to insider leaks. That's the target. Here's the weird part. The precision isn't just who you are, it's when you are. The same person on a calm Saturday morning processes differently than on a tense Wednesday commute. Time of day, device type, even scroll velocity. These nudge which frame lands. Precision is personal and situational. The message shows up in the window when your guard is down and your pattern says click now. Then comes repetition. If precision finds the gap, repetition widens it. The simple version is, the more fluent something feels, the truer it feels. That's cognitive ease. The system doesn't repeat the exact post, it repeats the pattern. Similar headlines, familiar thumbnails, mirrored phrasing, adjacent accounts quoting each other. Circular reporting and rewrite culture multiply the sense of consensus. You see echoes, not sources, and your brain quietly says, I keep seeing this, so it must be solid. In other words, repetition manufactures inevitability. Not by debate, but by availability. The claim starts to feel like background knowledge. One of those everyone knows facts nobody remembers learning. And because algorithms reward whatever keeps you, the fluent frame gets more distribution, which increases exposure, which increases fluency. That spiral is algorithmic amplification. It's not malicious by design, it's indifferent by incentive. Now emotion, arousal, anger, fear, or pride, narrows your attention and locks memory. Outrage plus novelty beats nuance almost every time because the body moves before the mind deliberates. Propaganda engineering leans into arousal over accuracy. Moralized language, harm cues, in-group flattery, out-group threat, countdowns, breaking, leaked, exposed. The aim isn't to convince your prefrontal cortex, it's to recruit your nervous system. Once your nervous system is on board, your reasoning backfills. Here's what most people miss about emotion in this blueprint. They calibrate the dose. Too little, you scroll past. Too much, you sense manipulation and bail. The sweet spot is just enough moral heat to make you feel involved, but not enough to trigger skepticism. That's why slight indignation travels farther than outright hysteria. It's sticky, but still shareable without self-embarrassment. Let me stitch the three together with a micro-story. A mid-sized account posts a leaked memo, framed as a fairness violation. Precision. It's shown to users who linger on institutional criticism, especially late nights. Repetition. 3 aggregator pages rephrase it within hours. A wiki footnote appears. A commentary channel reacts. Emotion. The captions use moral harm words. Betrayed. Silenced. Rigged. And a clipped image with a red circle. By day 3, the clip feels familiar. You remember the vibe, not the source. The vibe feels true. The counterintuitive part is that the blueprint can be true or false and still work. It's content agnostic. If a verified fact is framed with precision, rehearsed into fluency, and carried by calibrated emotion, it will land. If a falsehood is framed the same way, it can feel equally true until you inject friction. That's why you'll hear me harp on source first, not share first later. Here's a quick diagnostic to recognize the blueprint in the wild. Precision tell. The message feels tailored to your grievance or pride at just the right moment. Repetition tell. You notice similar phrasing or visuals across unrelated accounts within a tight window. Emotion tell. You feel an urge to react before you can restate the claim in your own words. Everything clicked when I noticed the framing grammar. High emotion frames often use compact binaries. Heroes versus traitors, insiders versus sheep, they versus we. Add a countdown or scarcity cue before they delete this, and arousal spikes. Pair it with a familiar anchor, as we've all seen, and fluency spikes. Hit both within a micro-targeted audience, and you've engineered plausibility. What this actually means is we shouldn't ask, is this persuasive? We should ask, is this engineered to feel true? Because the engineering steps are visible if you look for them. Who is it optimized for? How is it being rehearsed? Which emotion is it trying to recruit? If you can answer those three quickly, you're already outside the spell. Remember the open loop. The trick that makes lies feel true is simpler than you think. It's fluency. The more your brain can process a claim with low effort, the more your body grants it a truth pass. The blueprint's genius is exploiting that pass on command. Next, we'll decode the specific cognitive weak spots that make this possible. Vulnerability number 1, cognitive ease. Why repetition feels like truth. Ease primes belief. When something is easy to process, clear font, simple phrasing, familiar cadence, your brain lowers its guard. That relaxed feeling gets misread as reliable. Nobody explains this right, but your mind isn't running a courtroom every time you see a claim. It's running a speed test. If the claim glides, it gets a courtesy pass. That pass is cognitive ease. Okay, so basically, the illusory truth effect says, repeat a statement enough times and people rate it as more true, even if they knew it was false before. The simple version is fluency bias, familiar equals credible. Your brain uses processing speed as a shortcut for accuracy because, in nature, familiar usually meant safe. In feeds, familiar often just means repeated. Psych researchers call this the processing fluency hypothesis. The easier something is to process, the more likely we are to judge it as true, regardless of evidential weight. Here's the weird part. Repetition doesn't need new facts. Circular reporting multiplies fluency without adding evidence. Outlet A publishes a shaky claim. Outlet B rewrites it. A blogger cites A and B. A week later, a commentary video references the blog and B. You see multiple sources, but they're all echoing the same seed. Multiplicity masquerades as verification. It feels like consensus. It's the same sentence wearing different clothes. And even when corrections arrive, they don't fully erase the imprint. That's the continued influence effect. Once a false detail anchors a narrative, people keep using it to reason, even after they've been told it's wrong. Prebunking helps because it prevents that first anchor from setting. Everything clicked when I realized how formats do half the work. Clean thumbnails, consistent color palettes, punchy headlines. These reduce cognitive load. Lower load means higher ease. Higher ease means higher perceived truth. That's why familiar phrasing, experts say, new study shows, shocking but true, keeps showing up. It's not just style, it's a compliance tool for your fluency detector. Real example. One pseudoscientific study claims a health shortcut. A few aggregators echo it. A wiki footnote appears. A short-form clip quotes the footnote. Suddenly the claim is everywhere. And people say, I keep hearing this. You're not hearing evidence, you're hearing echoes. The Noah Tavlin explanation nails this. Circular reporting creates the illusion of confirmation. Your belief isn't built on weight of proof. It's built on weight of exposure. Why does this matter? Because ease slides under your skepticism. Confusion costs you attention and status. So your brain rewards anything that reduces friction. But when ease becomes your truth signal, precision propaganda just has to engineer fluency. Consistent visuals, mirrored phrases, repeating faces, and friendly cadence. Accuracy is optional. Smoothness is mandatory. Let's break it down so it sticks. Why it works. Ease reduces metabolic cost. Brains conserve energy. Familiar patterns are cheaper to process, so you feel safer, which you mislabel as truer. What it is: illusory truth effect, processing fluency hypothesis, fluency bias, and availability. Things you've seen become easier to retrieve. Easy retrieval feels like common knowledge, and smooth processing masquerades as accuracy. How it's built: rewrites, summaries and algorithmic resurfacing. LLMs now condense secondhand text, adding confident tone while diluting originals. Confidence plus brevity equals fluency. Why it sticks even after correction. The continued influence effect. People keep relying on the myth's outline and reasoning, even post-correction, especially if the correction is less fluent than the original claim. Here's what most people miss. Contradictions can be fluent too. If opposing claims are packaged with the same polished cadence, each can feel true in isolation. The map in your head stops being evidence-based and starts being vibe-based. You hold "I've heard that" as proof. Microstory. I once skimmed a thread claiming a simple fix for screen time addiction. It sounded right. Short sentences, crisp bullets, confident verbs. Later I found the study it cited didn't say what the thread claimed. But the thread felt true because I'd seen 3 similar posts that week. The vibe was fluent. The facts were thin. The counterintuitive part is that adding facts can reduce belief if they add friction. A dense paragraph with caveats feels harder, so you rate it as less persuasive, even if it's more accurate. That's why outrage beats nuance on watch time. Nuance imposes costs. Outrage greases the rails. So how do you defend without turning into a full-time fact-checker? You don't fight ease with effort alone. You add strategic friction at the right moment. Source first, not share first. Before you repost, ask, where did this start? If you can't find the first publication or dataset in 30 seconds, pause. That single habit collapses circular loops. Context before claim. Can you restate the claim in your own neutral words without the emotional frame? If not, you're processing the phrasing, not the content. Fluency flag. If a claim feels instantly right, label that sensation. This feels true because it's easy. Naming the feeling reduces its sway. 1 degree check. Search one specific counterterm. Claim, criticism, or author retraction. If nothing shows up, your fluency may be outpacing scrutiny. Friction cues. Switch fonts or reading mode on long posts, or read on desktop instead of phone. Tiny design changes slow you enough to notice gaps. Specific example walkthrough. A viral post says, "New evidence proves X." You run the source first habit. The citations point to articles that reference each other, not the original dataset. You do a 1 degree check. X study methodology. You find a statistician's critique noting small sample size. That alone doesn't disprove X, but it shatters the illusion that repetition equals verification. Fluency drops, skepticism rises. What this actually means is that ease is a useful cue for comfort, not for truth. Treat fluency like sugar. Fine in small doses, hazardous as a staple. If a message glides too smoothly, add grit. Ask for the first source, the date, and the incentive. Ease primes belief. Next, emotion locks it in. When anger or awe rides on top of fluency, your judgment narrows and your memory seals. That's where Arousal Hijack does its work. Vulnerability number 2, Arousal Hijack. Anger and awe override judgment. Ease primes belief, but emotion locks it in. High arousal, anger, fear, awe, tribal pride, narrows your attention and speeds up action. That tunnel vision is great for survival, terrible for judgment. When arousal spikes, your brain prioritizes do something over, is this true? Algorithms learn that fast because arousal extends watch time, drives comments, and triggers shares. So they lean into what your nervous system can't ignore. This is also where knowledge neglect shows up. Even when you know better, you default to the fluent, emotional take under arousal, sidelining accurate knowledge because your body moves first. Okay, so basically, the body moves first. Heart rate bumps, palms warm, pupils dilate. Attention sticks to threat or glory. In that state, nuance feels irrelevant. You look for clear villains and heroes, not caveats and confidence intervals. Propaganda engineering exploits this by pairing moralized language with simple binaries. Words like betrayal, corrupt, traitor, purge, sacred, patriot carry built-in heat. Add an urgency cue, breaking, leaked, before they delete. And you've got a reflex, not a reflection. Here's what most people miss. The platforms don't need to know the content to tune the dose. They watch your physiology by proxy. Rapid replays, sudden pauses, comment bursts, rewinds on a single sentence. Those micrometrics predict which emotional notes keep you. Then the system serves more of that note, not necessarily more of that topic. If rage kept you, rage returns, maybe with a new target. You think you're following issues. You're following your own arousal signature. Everything clicked when I noticed how moral language changes virality. Claims wrapped in moral harm spread farther because they recruit identity and anger at once. You're not just reading a post, you're defending a value. The more you defend, the deeper the learning signal the system records, and the more it shows you similar cues. That's how outrage becomes a habit loop. Microstory. One post takes a cheap shot at your side. You quote reply to clap back. That reply teaches the model you'll spend minutes in thread when insulted. Within days, new posts needle the same nerve with slightly different phrasing. You feel like you're standing up for something. The model just learned how to get you to linger. You've been trained. The counterintuitive part is that or hijacks you too, just with a smile. Or says, "This is bigger than me," which can suspend skepticism the same way fear does. Pair a sweeping soundtrack, slow zoom, and a hero narrative with national symbols, and your analytic mode dials down. That's why manufactured hero stories travel. Pride plus spectacle equals sticky memory. The details can be thin, the feeling fills the gaps. Let's break the mechanics so they stick. Why it matters. High arousal compresses time to decision. You're more likely to click, share, donate, or pile on without checking sources because your body wants closure. What it is, a state shift from deliberation to mobilization. Anger and fear focus you on blame and threat. Awe and pride focus you on belonging and glory. Both reduce scrutiny. How it's built. Moralized cues, countdowns, enemy naming, virtue labels, and rhythm. Short clauses, escalating beats, and clipped cuts keep your physiology elevated just enough to move you. Here's what most people miss about dosage. Too much arousal triggers reactance. You sense the manipulation and bounce. So the most effective propaganda sits in the productive anger zone, where you feel righteous, not frantic. It's calibrated to make you feel smart and brave for acting now. So how do you disarm the hijack without becoming numb? You insert an emotion check before a fact check. Name it before you judge it. I'm feeling anger / fear. That label shifts you from actor to observer for a second, which is often enough to widen your attention. State check, then fact check. Can you neutrally restate what the claim is, separate from the heat? If you can't, you're reacting to tone, not content. Slow the share. If it spikes your pulse, add a 10-minute delay. Most arousal-led urges decay quickly. Truth doesn't expire in 10 minutes. Switch modes. Change medium or posture. Stand up, read on desktop, or read out loud. The tiny friction interrupts the physiological loop. Seek a counter-emotion. Pair an outrage thread with one calm, long-form source on the same topic. Contrast lowers arousal and restores nuance. Specific example walkthrough. You see leaked emails prove the plot. Heat rises. You label it, anger. You state check, claim. Emails show coordination to suppress dissent. You set a 10-minute timer and search for the original files, not summaries. You find screenshots with no headers and 3 rewrite blogs citing each other. The arousal drops just enough for skepticism to enter. Maybe there's a real story. Maybe it's a vibe stack. Either way, you avoided feeding the loop. What this actually means is emotion isn't the enemy. Autopilot is. You want emotion in your life, not as your editor. If a claim rides your anger, or straight past your verification steps, that's the hijack doing its job. Name the feeling. Widen the window. Then decide. You're primed and fired up. Next, the identity trap snaps shut. When tribe gets involved, accuracy takes the back seat to belonging, and the loop tightens again. Vulnerability number 3. Identity lock. Tribe before truth. Here's what most people miss. When identity enters the chat, the goalposts move. You're no longer evaluating claims. You're protecting membership. Belonging beats accuracy when they conflict, because social pain feels like physical pain. Your brain would rather keep the tribe than keep the truth. Okay, so basically, identity protective cognition means we defend the beliefs that signal who we are. We don't test data, we test loyalty. The simple version is, if accepting a fact risks ostracism, your mind finds a way to doubt the fact. Layer in motivated reasoning. The tendency to recruit memory and logic to reach preferred, identity-safe conclusions. and you get skilled rationalization that feels like objectivity. Smart people aren't immune. They're often better at arguing their group's position. Reason becomes a bodyguard, not a judge. How does the lock snap shut? In-group cues do the heavy lifting. Slogans, emojis, color palettes, slogans as badges, shared villains, insider jokes. Those cues compress complexity into a single heuristic. Ours equals right. Add a few high-status voices repeating a line, and dissent starts to feel like betrayal. The content doesn't have to be true, it has to be us. Everything clicked when I realized the lock starts before the claim. The moment a post includes your tribe's shibboleths, flag emojis, anthem snippets, favorite phrases, your guard drops. You're reading as a teammate, not as an analyst. If the same claim arrived in the other side's packaging, you'd shred it. Packaging flips your priors. Here's the weird part. Satire gets swallowed as fact when it flatters the in-group. A joke headline that praises your side or dunks on the out-group feels too good to check. Aggregators lift it without context, influencers riff on it, and by day 2 it's proof. The joke's format is lost, the identity boost remains. Familiar vibe, tribal win, zero friction. Microstory. A friend sends a clip of a politician admitting to a scheme. The caption is dripping with in-group language. You nod along, share, and feel that rush of righteous unity. Hours later, you see the original. He was quoting an opponent sarcastically. Same words, flipped context. But the identity hit already paid out, and the correction feels like an attack on your people. You resist the fix, not because it's wrong, but because it threatens belonging. BBC angle. Manufactured hero narratives are powerful because they borrow national identity. When footage, slogans, and anthems frame a leader as the embodiment of us, critique feels like treason. That's the move. Fuse a person to a symbol, so any question hits the flag, not the claim. Pride is healthy. Symbolic fusion is the trap. Let's break the lock's mechanics into why, what, how so it sticks. Why it matters. Identity protects status and safety. Losing face in your group risks exclusion, so your mind acts as a social immune system, rejecting inconvenient facts to preserve bonds. What it is, identity protective cognition and motivated reasoning. We recruit memory and logic to reach preferred conclusions that match group norms. It feels like thinking, it's often filtering. How it works, in-group cues set the frame. Then moralized binaries, us slash them, pure/corrupt, reduce nuance. Social proof, likes from friends, comments by leaders, cement certainty. Contradictions are reframed as enemy propaganda. Here's what most people miss about the lock. It doesn't only block out threats, it blocks in errors. Once a claim becomes a badge, updating it threatens identity. So we rationalize. Even if that detail was off, the larger point stands. That move preserves tribe cohesion at the cost of accuracy. Repeat it enough, and the badge becomes armor you can't take off. So how do you loosen the lock without losing connection? You don't attack identity. You anchor it to shared values that permit updating. Cross-tribe mirroring. Start with the value you both hold: fairness, safety, dignity. Because I care about fairness, I want the cleanest evidence. Values first, facts second. Argue from within. Share critiques from respected voices inside the tribe. In-group validators reduce the social penalty of updating. Separate person from badge. Liking the community doesn't require endorsing this claim. Make space to be loyal without being wrong. Ask coalition questions. What evidence would make us change our minds? If the answer is nothing, name that as identity defense, not truth-seeking. Create exit ramps. Offer face-saving ways to revise. New info adds nuance. Early reports misled us. The best teams correct fast. Specific example walkthrough. A viral post glorifies our whistleblower with national symbols and swelling music. You apply values-first framing. Because I care about truth and country, I want the original documents. You search for primary sources. You find quote-mined snippets and aggregator rewrites. You share an in-group analyst who flags the gaps, adding, "We're stronger when we check." You kept belonging, added friction, and avoided the lock. What this actually means is you don't have to choose between community and accuracy. You choose methods that honor both. Identity can motivate curiosity when tethered to values like competence and humility. We test because we care beats we believe because we belong. You're seeing the pattern. Ease opens the door, arousal ushers you in, identity locks it behind you. So how do these vulnerabilities scale into industrial manipulation? With loops, circular reporting that manufactures consensus and feeds that amplify it. Let's open that door next. The algorithmic echo, how feeds manufacture consensus. You need to see the system to stop obeying it. The feed doesn't just reflect what people believe. It shapes what seems believable by orchestrating who sees what, when, and how often. Think of it as a consensus factory. Collaborative filtering chooses the ingredients, watch time optimization cooks them, and your confirmations plate the dish. Okay, so basically, collaborative filtering says, people who act like you tend to like X. Not people who think like you, people who hover, pause, and click like you. Your single watch or save updates a vector of similarities, and that vector nudges your neighbors. Their responses nudge you back. That's how a claim can spread without public debate. It propagates through behavior lookalikes. You never see the argument, you see the aftertaste. Here's what most people miss. Belief funnels don't feel forced. One click doesn't jump you to extremes. It walks you there via adjacent recommendations. Neutral curiosity about a policy leads to a hot take, then to a scandal explainer, then to an exposé channel whose catalogue tilts harder. Each step is plausible. The path, in total, is not. And because your path is personalized, you think, this is the conversation. It's your conversation. Microstory. You open a brand new account and watch one measured video on election security. Next up, a slightly punchier clip on fraud allegations. Then a montage of proof clips. By the end of the week, your home is dominated by channels specializing in they lied content. Another new account starts with a civics lesson and gets sent to procedural reforms and bipartisan panels. Same platform. Two realities, each with everyone's talking about it vibes. Everything clicked when I noticed the hidden penalty on nuance. Long, careful content underperforms against short, moralized pieces because the cost to comprehend is higher, the immediate reward lower, and the share impulse weaker. The optimization loop doesn't ban nuance. It buries it under stickier patterns. Extremes get free reach because they generate reliable engagement signals, comments, stitches, duels, while middle ground analysis looks like dead air. The counterintuitive part is that even disagreement amplifies. When you dunk on a post, you feed it. When you stitch it to debunk, you widen its graph. The system can't read intent, it reads energy. High energy friction spreads the original pattern to new clusters, some of whom will convert. That's why outrage trains the echo, even when it's righteous. Let's break the mechanics so they stick. Supply. Creators test formats. The platform's A/B engine learns which frames extend watch time in which segments. Matching. Collaborative filtering assigns candidates to your session based on people like you also watched. Ranking. The system boosts items with strong retention among your neighbors and demotes those that cause exits. Feedback. Your behavior, rewinds, comments, saves, updates the weights. Content matching your arousal signature rises. Diffusion. The boosted pattern appears earlier in more feeds, creating the illusion of broad consensus within pockets. Here's what most people miss about diffusion. It clusters. You see a dozen accounts repeating a line and assume cross-ideological appeal. Often, it's one cluster with heavy internal reinforcement. The platform's architecture follows friends, topic tags, creates weak ties across clusters, but the echo is strongest inside. To you, that feels like the internet agrees. To another cluster, the opposite claim, everyone knows, is trending. Specific example. A shaky statistic gets packaged into a thumbstop headline and slick chart. It performs well in a fairness-sensitive cluster. The system tests it in adjacent clusters. Anti-corruption, institutional skepticism, then broader politics. It underperforms in general news, so it stays in the high-fit clusters and saturates them. Within that bubble, exposure frequency is so high that the chart looks like common knowledge. Outside, it barely exists. Two truths, both algorithmically correct. So how do you stop the echo from manufacturing your certainty? You diversify the signals you send, and you add friction to the feed's default. Diversify seed signals. Follow a deliberate mix, 3 long-form, evidence-heavy sources, and 1 dissent source you respect. Your follows are structural inputs. They reshape the candidate pool. Intentional discovery. Use search and direct links for big topics instead of relying on the home feed. Pull, don't just receive. Reset the graph. Periodically clear watch history or create topic-specific profiles. Mixed contexts confuse the funnel and surface different candidates. Engage quietly. Save to verify instead of commenting in rage. Starve bad patterns of high-energy signals while you check. Timebox sessions. Short, purposeful windows reduce late-session drift into arousal-optimized recommendations. Walkthrough. You sense drift after weeks in a heated issue. You add a dissent source known for rigorous method. Subscribe to a long-form newsletter with transparent citations, and mute 3 outrage accounts, even the ones you agree with. You start opening big claims via search rather than in-feed. Within days, your home recommendations widen. More hearings, fewer compilations. More primary docs, fewer breaking edits. The echo weakens because the system reads different success markers. What this actually means is consensus online is often a product, not a discovery. It's assembled by matching engines that reward what's easy to process and hard to ignore. You can't opt out of the math, but you can change the math's inputs. Diversify seeds. Add friction. Reward nuance with your time. And when something feels universally accepted, ask, universal where? The inoculation protocol. Prebunking beats debunking. Okay, so basically, by the time you're arguing with a viral claim, you're already late. Debunking is like mopping while the sink's still on. Prebunking turns the tap down first. The method comes from inoculation theory. Warn about the incoming tactic, show the trick in a safe dose, and rehearse the counter so your mind recognizes the move in the wild. Forewarning plus a tiny, weakened example builds mental antibodies. Here's what most people miss. You don't need the specific lie in advance, you need the playbook. Misinformation reuses a small set of tactics. Fake expertise, emotional manipulation, false dilemmas, scapegoating, ad hominem attacks, and incoherent mashups that sound authoritative. If you can spot the tactic, the exact claim loses its grip. The brain says, "Oh, that's the move," and the spell weakens. Everything clicked when I treated propaganda like a magic show. The magician doesn't change physics, he hides attention. Inoculation teaches you where the hands go. You still feel the surprise, but you don't hand over your wallet. That's the point. Keep your emotions, keep your tribe, but add a reflex that asks, which tactic is this? Let's break the protocol into why, what, how so it sticks, why it matters. Correcting bad info after belief forms leaves residue. The continued influence effect means the myth's outline lingers even after you know better. Prebunking reduces the chance the myth ever imprints. What it is, a 3-step micro-intervention you can self-administer or share with your group. Warn, refute, rehearse. How it works: brief, vivid examples of common manipulations, paired with simple counters, practiced before exposure to the live versions. Step 1. Warn. The forewarning triggers a mild threat response. Your mind sits up. Keep it short. You'll see posts using moral panic and fake experts to rush you. That's enough to prime attention without spiking arousal. Step 2. Refute. Offer a tiny, weakened dose of the tactic with the counter built in. Example: Dr. X, a renowned wellness pioneer, exposes the toxin. Counter: check credentials, incentives, and original data. Renown isn't relevance. You're not arguing a case, you're teaching a pattern. Step 3. Rehearse. One quick practice round anchors the reflex. Give a fresh, harmless claim and ask, which tactic? Then answer together. Repetition wires the response. Here's what most people miss about rehearsal. The win is speed, not depth. You're training a fast pause, not a thesis. 30 seconds of pattern labeling now saves 30 minutes of rabbit holes later. And the effect generalizes. Once you've tagged false dichotomy twice, either you're with us or you hate freedom, you start spotting it across topics. Let me give you a ready-to-use kit. 5 core tactics, 5 counters. Emotion bait, heavy moral language, countdown clocks, before they delete this. Counter: name the emotion, add a delay, seek one comm source. Fake expertise: Doctor/CEO/insider reveals, with vague credentials. Counter: check domain match, publication trail, and conflicts of interest. Titles aren't transferable. False dichotomy: only 2 choices. Counter: ask for the third option. Complex issues rarely collapse to binaries. Scapegoating: blame pinned on a neat outgroup. Counter: request mechanism and base rates. If the path is hand-wavy, the claim is probably cover for arousal. Incoherence masked as science. Jargon salad. Confident tone, no methods. Counter: demand methods, sample size, and data access. If missing, downgrade confidence. Microstory: I ran a 5-minute prebunk at a team meeting before an election cycle. You'll see ad hominem attacks dressed as just asking questions. Spot the move, ask for evidence. 2 weeks later, a flashy clip dunked on a candidate's appearance. Half the chat typed ad hominem before anyone argued. The thread cooled. We moved to policy. Same emotions in the room, better channeling. The counterintuitive part is you can inoculate against your own side's tactics without losing loyalty. Frame it as, we're stronger when we don't fall for sloppy wins. That preserves identity while raising standards. In-group inoculation travels farther than cross-group scolding. Okay, here's a simple 3-minute routine you can run weekly, solo or with friends. Minute 1 for warn. Pick 2 tactics you've seen a lot, say, scapegoating and false dichotomies. Read a single sentence warning for each. Minute 2, refute. Show a tiny example of each, plus the one-line counter. Keep examples low stakes to avoid identity defensiveness. Minute 3, rehearse. Toss one fresh, ambiguous headline and ask. Name the tactic. What's the first probe? Answer out loud. You're done. Want to scale it? Swap memes. Each person screens one manipulation of the week, tags the tactic, and shares the first source link they used to check. Reward speed and clarity, not snark. The meta skill is trace first under mild arousal. Specific walkthrough in the wild. You encounter proof. Project Z is a government plot. Watch before they remove it. You label emotion bait. Delay 60 seconds. You search for the original release or document. You find rewrites pointing to the same anonymous channel. You scan for credentials, none. You ask for a mechanism, hand-wavy. Tactic identified, counters applied, share withheld. That's inoculation doing its job. What this actually means is you don't need perfect skepticism. You need practice skepticism at the right time. Warn, refute, rehearse. Keep it light, make it routine, and you'll feel the difference. The same content hits your feed, but it bounces instead of binding. Next, I'll give you the exact 7-point checklist that turns that pause into a fast, repeatable decision. The 7-point lie detection checklist. You don't need a PhD. You need a playbook you can run fast. Here's the simple version. Source, original, date, incentive, emotion, counter-evidence, action. 2 modes. A 30-second triage when you're in the feed, and a 3-minute deep check when the stakes are high. Run it in order. If any step fails hard, you pause. If it passes but feels slippery, you downgrade confidence and save to verify. Source. Who's telling me this? Okay, so basically, credibility is contextual. A doctor talking finance isn't a finance expert. A viral thread from a faceless account isn't a primary source. Quick checks. Is there a real name? Clear domain expertise? A track record of corrections? If it's an aggregator, you're not done, you're pre-source. Original. Where did it start? In other words, can you click to the primary document, dataset, full video, or on-the-record quote? Screenshots without headers, clips without context, and according to reports, are red flags. If you can't get to the original in 2 clicks, you're probably inside a circular loop. Trace first or stop. Date. When did this happen? Here's what most people miss. Old news packaged as breaking rides your arousal signature for free. Check the publication date, the event date, and whether the images are from the same event. Reverse image search if it smells stale. If it's months old, it's not urgent. Incentive. Why is this being said now, and who benefits? This isn't cynicism, it's context. Look for financial motives, ideological branding, or attention capture. Sponsored content, fundraising hooks, election cycles, or channel growth sprints all tilt framing. If the incentives are loud and the evidence is faint, downgrade confidence. Emotion. What is it trying to make me feel before I think? Name the spike, anger, fear, or tribal pride. If you can't restate the claim neutrally without the heat, you're reacting to tone, not content. Add a delay. If after a pause, the claim still matters, proceed. Counter-evidence. What would disconfirm this? The simple version is search, claim, criticism, author retraction, or topic replication. You're not trying to both sides reality. You're testing whether serious people have raised serious issues. If there's a credible rebuttal with methods, samples, or transcripts, weigh it. Action. What am I being asked to do? And is that proportional to the evidence? Share now, donate now, harass now, panic now. Those are asks with cost. High-cost actions require high-quality evidence. If the ask outruns the proof, you pause or scale down your response. Here's the 30-second triage as a single breath. Who says it? Where'd it start? How old is it? What's their angle? How do I feel? Who disagrees? What's the ask? If any of the first three are mushy, you don't share. If the incentive is loud and your emotion is hot, you delay. If counter-evidence exists and the ask is big, you deep check. Now the 3-minute deep check for high stakes. Minute 1. Source and original. Open 2 tabs. The messenger's profile and the supposed original. Scan bio, past posts, corrections. In the original, look for full context, methods, complete quotes, full video. If the original doesn't exist, you've already learned enough. Minute 2. Date and incentive. Confirm timestamps on both. Look for repackaging of old content. Scan for funding, affiliations, or campaign timing. Ask why now. If the timing aligns a little too neatly with a push, your bar goes up. Minute 3. Emotion, counter-evidence, action. Label your state. Search one precise counter-term. Skim the strongest rebuttal. Then right-size your response. No share with caveats, or share with sources. If you can't explain the claim in your own words with a link to a primary source, you don't transmit. Let's run a viral claim through all 7. Headline: New emails prove a cover-up. Source: a mid-sized commentary account. Original: a cropped screenshot, no header. Date: posted today, but the file name suggests last year. Incentive: the creator is selling a new course on exposing lies. Emotion: anger spike. Counter-evidence: a search finds a journalist thread noting the screenshot matches a previously debunked hoax, plus links to the full email thread showing context. Action: share before they delete. Verdict: fails original, shaky date, loud incentive, high emotion, strong counter-evidence, extreme action. You don't share. You might save with a note, likely loop. Another run, different outcome. Claim: a new randomized trial shows a small benefit of policy Y. Source: a university press office named authors. Original: a preprint with methods, sample size, limitations. Date: posted last week, trial conducted this year. Incentive: academic credit, not obvious hype. Emotion: mild curiosity. Counter-evidence: a statistician blog raises questions about effect size, but agrees the methods are decent. Action: discuss with colleagues. Verdict: cautious share with source link and caveats. You transmit carefully. Habits make this automatic. Save to verify by default. Delay sharing. Keep a short list of trusted primary sources for your key topics. Maintain a notes file with first source, links you can reuse. When you're wrong, correct fast and move on. That's reputation hygiene. Teach your group the checklist, so social norms support pausing. Nobody explains this right, but the point isn't to fact-check everything. It's to right-size your trust to the evidence. Run the 7, buy time for your judgment, then act proportionally. Your feed will still try to sprint. Your checklist makes it walk. Daily hygiene for a non-hijacked mind. Systems beat willpower. Your nervous system is no match for a billion-dollar optimization loop. But a few structural habits tilt the table back in your favor. Think input diet, friction hacks, deliberate practice, and recovery. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to reduce how often arousal and fluency drive your day. Start with the input diet. 3 trusted long-form sources, 1 dissent source. Long-form means method transparency and primary links. Investigative outlets, university press releases with full papers, or analysts who publish data and corrections. The dissent source isn't the other side's loudest hot take. Pick someone you respect for rigor, who often disagrees with your priors. Why this works? Your feed overserves familiar frames. Your diet deliberately injects depth and disconfirmation. 10 minutes a day with depth weakens the algorithm's grip. Make it concrete. Create a daily folder with 4 bookmarks, 2 evidence-heavy newsletters, 1 balanced policy site, and 1 dissent analyst. Read them before touching the feed. If the feed is dessert, this is protein. Your brain will feel slower at first. That's the point. You're retraining ease to associate with sources, not vibes. Now friction hacks. Disable autoplay across platforms. Turn off push notifications for trending and breaking. Hide like counts. Add a 24-hour share delay rule for anything that spikes your pulse. That delay is your moat against circular reporting and arousal hijack. Install a reader extension that strips format flourish, so you judge content without the candy shell. Tiny frictions buy you back minutes of deliberation every day. Next, intentional follows. Audit your follows monthly. For each account, ask, does this increase my understanding or just my adrenaline? If it's adrenaline without sources, mute for 30 days. Replace with 2 accounts that post primary documents, hearings, datasets, full interviews. You're not swearing off emotion, you're demanding receipts. Weekly practice, the opposite read. Choose one topic you care about. Spend 20 minutes with the best Steelman case against your position. You're not switching teams, you're testing insulation. If your beliefs can't survive the best counter, they're running on identity lock. If they do survive, you gain nuance. Either way, you win back agency. Add the save to verify habit. You see a spicy claim? Save it. Don't comment. Later, run the 7-point checklist. If it holds, share with sources. If it cracks, delete the save and move on. This replaces public reactivity with private due diligence. You reduce unintentional amplification while still staying informed. Build a first source cache. A simple notes file with links you trust for your top 5 topics. Government data portals, court document repositories, peer-reviewed journal search pages, election results archives, legislative trackers. When news breaks, you start there. The habit shifts you from consumer to verifier in under a minute. Environment matters. Put slow truth in your path. Place a book by the kettle. Set your default browser homepage to your 4-bookmark diet. Move social apps off the first screen of your phone. Put your reader app front and center. Catch yourself in the doorway, not after you've stepped into the funnel. Recovery resets arousal. 2 hours offline in nature each week isn't a vibe, it's a baseline repair. High arousal teaches the algorithm a version of you that's easy to keep. When you downshift your nervous system, walks, breathwork, physical play, you change the training data. Commute is harder to hijack. Sleep is part of this. Late-night doom scrolls teach the system that tired you loves hot takes. Set a device cutoff, charge outside the bedroom, and read paper before bed. Social hygiene multiplies effect. Make pausing a group norm. Agree with friends. No outrage links without a primary source. Share your corrections publicly once a month. I updated my view on X, here's the source. That move lowers the social cost of changing your mind and chips at identity lock. If your group prizes update speed, the algorithm loses leverage. Finally, calendar the maintenance. First Saturday, follow audit. Sundays, opposite read. Weeknights, 10-minute long form before feed. Daily, 24-hour delay on pulse spiking shares. Quarterly, reset watch history and rebuild from your diet. Habits live or die on scheduling. Put them where your future self can't miss them. What this actually means is you're not fighting the feed head-on. You're quietly starving its best tricks. A cleaner input mix, strategic friction, practiced pause, and a calmer body give you a mind that's harder to rent. Ready for the counterintuitive test I promised? The counterintuitive test. Intuition versus influence. Feel isn't always real when your feed has been priming your gut. Here's the counterintuitive test. The 48-hour flip. For 2 days, you argue the opposite of your current take as if you believed it. Not to switch sides, but to check whether your intuition is yours or an echo the algorithm rehearsed into you. Okay, so basically, this is a Steelman drill. You write the strongest, fairest version of the other side's case. Best evidence, best motives, best trade-offs. Like you're trying to persuade a skeptical friend who shares your values. No strawmanning, no dunking, no memes. If you can do it well, your judgment system still has range. If you can't, you're captured by framing. Here's what most people miss. The goal isn't to convert yourself, it's to recover metacognition. The drill forces your brain to step outside the preloaded vibe and rebuild the map from first sources. That's how you separate identity from ideas. You aren't betraying your tribe. You're checking whether your tribe is renting your prefrontal cortex. How to run it, step by step. Pick one hot claim you care about. Set the constraint. For 48 hours, you'll only collect the best contrary sources. Primary docs, data, long-form analyses from respected voices on that side. No rage compilations. Write a 300 to 500 word Steelman. The strongest case for the opposite view, with at least 3 primary links. Present it to a friendly critic who disagrees with you and ask them to improve it. After 48 hours, return to your original view and see what changed, new caveats, narrower confidence, or a genuine shift. Everything clicked when I realized this test exposes where identity lock and fluency bias are hiding. If you struggle to find good sources, that's a signal your diet is narrow. If you can't describe the trade-offs the other side is optimizing for, you're arguing vibes. If your Steelman instantly morphs into a takedown, Arousal Hijack is in the driver's seat. Microstory. I once felt certain a policy would obviously backfire. The feed had been feeding me slick charts and confident threads. I forced a 48-hour flip. Day 1, I found a randomized trial I'd never seen and a critique from a respected economist on my side who said, "I disagree, but here's the best data they have." By the end, I still leaned no, but my certainty dropped from 90% to 60%, and my reasons changed. My intuition felt quieter, less theatrical, more mine. Here's the weird part. The discomfort you feel while flipping is the point. It's cognitive friction reintroduced on purpose. That friction is what propaganda tries to remove by making everything feel smooth, immediate, and righteous. When you choose the friction, you're reconditioning your ease detector to track evidence, not repetition. Make it stick with 2 add-ons, swap roles with a friend. You Steelman X while they Steelman not X. Then you cross-grade each other on fairness, sources, and clarity. The social norm becomes we train range, not we signal loyalty. Log your deltas. Keep a simple note. Original view, flipped Steelman links, updated confidence. Over time, you'll see patterns, topics where you're stable, topics where you drift with the feed, tactics that trick you most, common objections and how to handle them. I don't have time. The flip is bounded. 48 hours, 30 minutes a day. That's less time than a weekend comment war. The other side is bad faith. Fine. Find the best good faith version anyway. If none exists, your flip will be short and your confidence will be honestly earned. This feels like betrayal. Reframe. Fidelity to methods, not to memes. We're stronger when we can pass the other side's ideological Turing test. Practical prompts to start fast. What would a smart, ethical person see that I'm missing? What trade-off are they prioritizing that I'm downplaying? Which metric would make their approach look reasonable? What's the strongest empirical result on their side? What this actually means is intuition is valuable only when it's been stress-tested. The 48-hour flip is a lab for your gut. If your position survives the flip, you'll argue it with fewer tells and more receipts. If it doesn't, you just bought yourself an update before the algorithm bought you. Acting under uncertainty without being manipulated. You can't verify everything before deciding. And that's exactly where propaganda tries to rent your judgment. The trick is to make good enough decisions without feeding the hijack. Okay, so basically, you classify your choices, set tempos, and speak in probabilities. Slow the big bets, sandbox the small ones, and borrow other brains when yours is heated. First, classify the decision. 2 axes: reversible versus irreversible, and personal versus public impact. Reversible and personal? Move fast and learn. By the book, test the app, try the habit. Irreversible and public? Slow down, hire later, post later, vote with prep. Everything clicked when I started asking, if I'm wrong, how hard is this to undo, and who else pays? That single question resets your tempo. Here's what most people miss. Uncertainty isn't the enemy, false certainty is. So speak in ranges. I'm 60 to 70%. Confident this is true, 30 to 40% it's partial, low chance it's fabricated. Then set a time to update. I'll revisit in 48 hours after more sources land. Range is cool arousal because your brain stops pretending it's court verdict time. Updates keep you honest when new evidence arrives. Now slow the big bets. For choices that lock you in, public endorsements, large donations, hiring, reputational posts, run a short pre-mortem. It's 6 weeks from now, and this went badly. What failed? List 3 failure modes: bad data, circular reporting, identity lock. For each, add a guardrail. 1 primary source, a cross-tribe review, a cooling-off period. If you can't put a guardrail on it, the decision's too hot. Sandbox the small bets. Instead of arguing in public about a claim, run a tiny test that teaches you without broadcasting. DM a knowledgeable friend. Check 1 primary link. Do a quick replication with open data if possible. Small, private experiments reduce the cost of being wrong and starve the algorithm of performative energy. You learn without lending reach to a bad frame. Seek independent counsel, not just agreeable counsel. Ask 2 people. 1 who shares your values but tends to disagree with your conclusions, and 1 domain expert who doesn't care about your tribe. Give them the claim and your planned action. Then ask for their 5-minute, Don't do this because list. You're borrowing their calm and their priors. When both say wait, wait. Communication matters because language can either escalate arousal or keep your options open. State your probability and your sources when you share. Provisional view. 65% this is accurate. Based on X and Y. Will update by Friday. That sentence disarms identity contests and signals that revising isn't betrayal, it's process. Also, show your sources. A link to the primary is an inoculation for your audience. Principle for the heat of the moment. If it flatters your tribe and spikes your pulse, pause. That combo is the blueprint working on you. Add friction. Stand up, drink water, read the claim aloud in monotone. If it still sounds strong without the soundtrack, proceed. If it deflates, you just caught the spell. Specific walkthrough. You're asked to sign an open letter based on new revelations. It's irreversible and public. You pre-mortem. Potential failures include a looped source, misinterpreted excerpts, and an astroturf push. Guardrails. Find the first document, ask one in-group skeptic, and sleep on it. You read the original, partial context. Your skeptic flags a missing appendix. Overnight, a credible analyst posts the full file. The hot claim softens. You decline to sign, share the full context, and keep trust with people who value accuracy. Another example, smaller stakes. A charity appeal ties your identity to a leaked cover-up and asks for immediate donations. Reversible for you, public impact unclear. Sandbox it. Donate a token amount, mark a 24-hour timer, and go source hunting. You find circular reporting. You cancel the recurring donation, send a note. Happy to give when you cite primaries. You acted with heart, then aligned with truth. Finally, build a personal uncertainty protocol, card you can glance at when the feed is loud. Classify. Reversible/irreversible, personal/public. Probability. State a range. Set an update time. Guardrails. First source, descent check, delay. Action size. Scale to evidence strength. Language. Provisional tone, show sources. You won't always nail it. That's fine. The win is refusing to let urgency and identity choose for you. Decide, update, and keep your agency. Red flags. How to spot weaponized AI tactics early. Early detection saves cognitive bandwidth. If you catch the tactic before the story grabs you, you keep your attention and your agency. Okay, so basically, you're scanning for tells, synthetic consensus, recycled visuals, quote-mined authority, coordination patterns, and meme mutations that evolve too cleanly to be organic. Synthetic consensus first. Here's what most people miss. Everyone knows often means one claim sprayed through many accounts. Red flags. Sudden ubiquity with identical phrasing across new or low history accounts. Comment sections filled with same structure replies. Minimal variation. Posted within tight time windows. Lists of independent sources that all ladder back to the same screenshot or rewrite. If 10 handles say the same sentence with the same comma, you're not witnessing consensus. You're seeing distribution. Recycled visuals. AI propaganda loves asset reuse. Watch for B-roll and crowd footage that reappears with different captions, crops, and color grades. Faces that look too clean. Immaculate skin, odd ear geometry, inconsistent earrings between frames, mismatched reflections, or lighting that ignores scene physics. Audio-lip mismatch at syllable edges, or breath sounds detached from mouth movement. Run a quick reverse image search or frame grab search. If the clip proves 3 different events in 3 weeks, it's carrying narrative, not evidence. Quote-mined authority. The move is simple. Lift an expert sentence, strip context, and wrap it in your tribe's frame. Flags. Ellipses around verbs, no link to full transcript, or paywalled trust me references. Credentials mismatched to claims. A PhD in one field asserted as authority in another. Per sources, without names when originals should exist, court filings, votes, datasets. If a credential is doing all the work and the primary is missing, the quote is a prop. Coordinated inauthentic behavior. The astroturf tell. You're not hunting bots, you're hunting patterns. Burst posting across a cluster at synchronized minutes, often with alternating emojis. New accounts created within the same week, following each other in rings, pushing the same hashtag before it trends. Replies that ladder praise to a central persona, hero, savior, patriot, with identical photo templates or AI-generated avatars. Patterns matter more than any single account. Report the coordination, not just one post. Meme mutations. Organic memes mutate messily. Manufactured ones evolve too perfectly. Clean A/B iterations where one word or color changes per day, like a product test. Perfect sentiment calibration hovering at productive anger. Never tipping into obvious spam. Cross-platform transport with identical timing. Same meme hits 3 sites within minutes. If it feels like a marketing rollout, assume there's a calendar behind it. National identity fusion and hero making. Watch for rapid storytelling arcs. Hardship montage, miracle moment, anthem swell, symbol shots. Narration that equates a person with the nation, so critique equals treason. AI-smoothed voiceovers with uniform cadence across multiple fan accounts. Healthy pride is fine. Symbolic fusion is a control tactic. The LLM polished tell. Confidence without citations, summary of summaries, and standardized headline skeletons. Shocking new report reveals. Are Fluency generators. Ask the summary to cite primaries. If it can't, downgrade. Fast actions you can take in the wild. Provenance ping. Source link. In the first minute, not the 50th comment. Header hunt. Insist on full document headers, page numbers, and context frames. Timeline test. Lay 3 new posts on a timeline. If they recycle artifacts, you've got repackaging. Coordination clue. Click 5 profiles pushing the same line. Creation date. Follower overlap. Reply timing. If they rhyme, report as a pattern. Seuss list. Keep a private note of recurring handles, hashtags, and asset IDs that appear in suspect pushes. Patterns jump out over weeks. Walkthrough. A hashtag erupts crowning a people's champion. Overnight there are cinematic edits, swelling music, identical slogans, and grassroots accounts created this week. You spot synchronized posting, AI clean avatars, recycled crowd clips, and quote-mined lines without transcripts. You log handles, report coordination, ask for primaries, and share a comm thread on manufactured consensus. You didn't attack a tribe, you flagged a tactic. What this actually means is you're not trying to out-argue every claim. You're trying to spot the machinery early. Synthetic consensus, recycled assets, quote-mined authority, tight timing, and spotless hero arcs are your 5 fastest tells. Name the move, add friction, then choose whether to engage. Key takeaway: propaganda hacks repetition, arousal, and identity so lies feel like your own intuition. Here's your move. Run the 7-point checklist on one spicy claim today. Then try the 48-hour flip this week. Subscribe if you want more practical psychology that protects your attention. And watch the next episode on emotional manipulation traps so you can stay unhackable.